Okay, so it's been a long time coming, but finally we have the unboxing and tabletop analysis of the 2016 Shimano Antares DC. So let's get into it. Okay, got your instructions and a bunch of stuff in Japanese that I can't read. Schematics. Just the reel. You get your reel oil. Some kind of a tool. Reel foot protectors. And you get this little leatherette pouch, which is kind of nice. Wish it was real leather though. Okay, so let's put all that crap back in here. I know you guys want to see this thing right here. Here we go. Let you guys take a good look at this for a minute or so. Let you make some observations. Okay, yeah, that's smooth. Now, this is a reel that I was going to get when it first came out, when they first, the leaks started coming out that a new one was coming out. But then when I saw the specs, I kind of hesitated, and I'll let you guys know why in a moment. Now, in the world of low-profile baitcasters, Shimano's DC reels tend to be in a class all their own. And on top of that class is the Antares DC. Now, the original Antares DC was released way back in 2006. And I guess the best way to show you what's new about this model is to bring out the American version of the old model. And that, of course, is the CALAIS DC. Now, the CALAIS DC was pretty much universally recognized as being the longest casting bass fishing bait caster in the world. So the new model definitely got some big shoes to fill. So let's go over what's new, and there's a lot. Now, the obvious difference is the new frame and body. And they're roughly the same size, it looks like, but the new model is definitely chunkier on the handle side plate. Now, it's got a new top plate design, which I like better than the old one. This is more symmetrical. Well, this is more asymmetrical. As you can see there, this cutout for your thumb is asymmetrical. Now, only the top portion is nickel anodized on the new model, while the rest of the body looks to be painted. I think this is nickel anodized as well. While the entire CALAIS DC body is nickel plated anodization. Now, both of them have aluminum frames and handle side plates, but the new model, I'm pretty sure this is not metal. This is probably CI4 plus, some kind of a higher end graphite composite. While on the old model, the entire body, this is made of aluminum, this is aluminum, this is aluminum. So the whole thing was aluminum, which gets us to probably the biggest difference between the two. And that is the weight. Now, the old CALAIS DC, people loved it, but they said it was super heavy, and they weren't wrong. Now, this thing is a brick. You can hit someone in the head with this and knock them out with no problem. So the scale says it weighs 9.45 ounces. So in today's bass world, that's heavy. I have some rod and reel combos that weigh less than this reel itself. So the new model clocks in at 7.7 ounces. So it's about the same weight as a CURADO K. And let me tell you, you can feel the difference in hand between these two. There is a big difference in weight. That should help me out as far as casting as well. So the next big feature that's changed is, as you can see, the new model, they've left out the spool tension knob that the old model has. And you can still adjust the spool tension, but you actually have to open up the side plates to do it. And I think Shimano doesn't really want you to. See this screw here? I think you can turn this screw to adjust the spool tension, but I'm not gonna touch it since Shimano, it's obvious they don't want you to touch it. They want you to rely solely on the braking system for any kind of spool control. Now, of course, Shimano's got all the latest features like the X-ship, the micromodule gears, and I believe the gears are brass. And these are the high-level 1 micromodule gears, I like to call them. And they have even smaller teeth than the micro gears that are on the CHRONARCH, METANIUM, and CURADO. I'll try to link a picture to show you guys the difference if I can, but if you held one of the gears out about this far away, you'd struggle to see any gear teeth at all. That's how small they are in these higher end Shimanos. Now of course you have Silent Tune, S3D, and Shimano incorporated their MGL spool, as you can see by the logo there, and the porting. Now the porting's got some silver anodization, silver accents, which is nice, but it's not like you can see it when you're out fishing. But with most of the other MGL spools, you know, they just cut it out and it's dark and you can't really tell unless you look at it. Now speaking of spools, Shimano went with an even bigger spool. The old CALAIS DC had a big 36mm diameter spool. Well, this went up to 37mm. So that should tell you right there that this is made for long casting. So let's get to the brakes. Now this is one of the big disappointments for me. Now the brakes are different, but they're the same. Now they're the same in the amount of adjustments. Both of them have a total of 32 adjustments, or what they call the 4x8 system. Now what's different about them is that in the new model, they went with the current trend of having line settings. Like you can see the FL fluorocarbon, P for braid, NM for mono or nylon, and then they retained the X for extreme distance mode. And then of course you have your 8 fine-tuning adjustments within each setting on the outside. Now with the old model, they had, let's see here, W, I know that was for wind. The A, I think that was for all around, I'm not sure. The L was for long cast, and then the X was for extremely long cast, or extreme distance. And of course on the outside you could fine-tune those individual settings. And I can tell you this, on the old model, you can hear a click going both ways. Well, with the new model, I don't know if it's just my particular model or if they designed it, but you can only hear the click going one way. So I'm going from maximum to minimum. You don't hear anything, but you can feel the clicks. And going from minimum to maximum, you could definitely hear the clicks there. And the clicks or the dial is a lot easier to turn on the old model. So that was a big disappointment for me, because Since they update this reel every 10 years, I was hoping they would go all out, balls to the wall, and give us a hugely improved new system that gave us, 1,000 settings or something along those lines. But in all actuality, you rarely use all the settings on your reels as it stands. Now, I did read on their website they have changed some of the braking profile to allow this thing to cast farther than even this. Of course, that remains to be seen, but we're going to test that out on the field. Now, another new feature is you can see that they have a much bigger line guide. It's the cone-shaped level wind that's tall as well as wider in the back. Now, with the old model, you had a cone-shaped level wind, but it was much smaller, as you can see there. Now, another thing that I was disappointed in was the components. Let me explain what I mean. Now, with the CALAIS DC, these components were made specifically for this reel and not used on any other Shimano reel at the time. So this handle here is forged, and it was not found on any other reel. This drag star, while it is the retro swept drag star, it is forged, and you can see that it's got this black accent that has porting in it. So that was a nice little subtle detail there. And of course, the spool tension was very detailed on the CALAIS DC. You see the red indicator notch, as well as the the dots. And of course, it had micro clicks. So on the new model, the handle looks to be the same handle you get in a CURADO. Nothing really special about it. Now, the star drag looks like just the average star drag you get from a METANIUM or CURADO. So nothing really special about this either. That's kind of a disappointment. And since this has no spool tension, this whole side, it just looks kind of blocky and bulky, at least in my opinion. So there's nothing there to balance out everything. It's just a big old handle side plate. But those are just minor trivialities. I want to see how good this thing casts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it out on the field. But first, I'm going to take it out on the water to do the on the water impressions, just to get a general feel of how this thing casts. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks a lot, guys.